What's up, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Top 10. I am John Roca.
And I am Matt Nose. We are here to bring you another movie discussion show this week. Topic provided to us by Charles Clark, one of our patrons. We're talking about movies set in Vegas. But how are you?
I'm good. It's kind of dealing with a little more of the winter coming here. You can sense the fall already here on the West Coast. 60 degrees when we woke up this morning. And I know some of y'all in the Midwest would take a shit on 60 degrees, claiming that it's cold. But for us out here that our blood is thinned, it is very cold. But it's my kind of weather, man. Plus, it's raining today, which is one of my favorite
Oh, it's
weather.
raining
So
down there?
I'm good.
Man,
Huh?
it is a blue sky up here. It's
Oh,
raining
for
down
you
there?
guys? Yeah, no, it's been raining all morning here. So it's nice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it rained the other night.
Hmm.
But yeah, nothing here. I was just opening up the weather and be like, oh, is it going to travel up here next? Like, what's going on with the weather? I hadn't seen that we were potentially going to get rain. Welcome to Weather Talk.
Yeah, I was gonna say we got nothing else to talk about but the weather. What the hell?
Well, I mean, as far as the cold,
Yeah,
the only reason the two of us bring it up is it's cold in both our houses. Like, I'm
it
in a
is.
hoodie. I'm sitting
Yes.
on an electric heating pad
Yeah.
because our furnace is not operating right now.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's cold as I woke up and it was 50 something in my house. So that's cold. I don't give a shit who you are. It's one thing when it's outside and it's toasty 70 degrees in your house.
Yeah.
It's another thing when you wake up and you're like, it is freezing in here.
Yeah.
So hopefully it warms up enough outside, but it's not gonna be that warm a day, so it's cold in my house.
That's a very good point. Very good point. Matt knows we gotta talk about this. I don't know how
What
much
is
you
that?
want to wade into this, but
Is it whether or not you're gonna keep your blue check mark? John, are you gonna pay the subscription? That we got to talk about it.
Until it happens, I'm not dealing with it. I see all these people
Yeah.
flipping out about it and tweeting about it, and I'm like, dude, first of all, my following is so small compared to those people, or minuscule compared to those people who are, chiming in about it, like Stephen King and whatever. So I got no problem. I'm just chilling out. You know what I'm saying? We'll see what happens. Blue check mark or not, I think some people are valid in saying, like, look, if you're good enough, people will still follow you whether you got the blue check mark or
Yeah.
not.
100%.
I've seen other people losing thousands of followers who have huge follower bases, and it may be about bots, it may be about them forcing people to unfollow. I don't know what the situation is there, but it is absolute. It's a rodeo out there right now on Twitter, man. It's crazy, but I'm just posting what I can post and rolling on. Try not to be too controversial lately after that Andor situation. So I'm just fucking chilling out right now and hanging out. And so yeah, I got no until they say it's happening, I don't want to deal with it. Is basically my mentality.
Yeah, it seems like one of those things of you give the worst case of what you're never going to do so that people accept a lesser version of it.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So I think it's a shock and awe tactic, which is like, what? No, that's crazy. And the comments actually it's going to be, $3 a month. And you're like, wow, $3 a month isn't so bad.
Yeah. Well, I'm paying for Twitter Blue. It's like $5 a month, but it's, it helps me edit tweets. Like I said, after that Andor tweet, I think I realized, okay, I need to be able to edit my tweets. Because you got to be aware of how you come across, and certainly that was not my intention with that tweet. So I was like, all right, in the future, I will be able to edit this shit when I, kind of put it a little bit too aggressively than I need to. But the idea of paying for the extra stuff just to have it, it's amazing to me how many people without the blue check mark don't understand what it means. It is not about how Elon Musk painted it, this idea of lords and ladies versus the peasants. First of all, a billionaire shouldn't be talking about peasants at all. Fuck him. Second of all, this idea that it's about that is so off base because it's really about, and this gentleman, Rob Kaczynski, tweeted a whole thread about it, who rarely tweets, by the way, but he had a whole thread about it. And he said it was, people were before the blue check mark, people were using his name to lure young children, because I think he's a children's book author, to lure young children into situations or cause like conversations with them online, that they were catfishing them. And so for him, it was a very powerful thing to use it to make people aware of who he is and validate his identity. That's what it is. It's about validating the identity. The fact that it elevates your tweet or whatever into the pile that's just an indirect result of it. But it really is about validating your identity in case there's anybody who wants it. And I've seen Mark Ellis have to tweet about people who take his name and create false accounts on Twitter or Instagram under his name. Danny's done that. A few people have done that. And so I know I'm not anywhere near big enough that for anybody to care about doing that with me, but it was more a matter of like, okay, I might as well do this just in case. So, that's the approach. But so many people are like, yeah, why should your opinion matter? It should be equal. The same people crying about socialism are out here saying it should be equal. It should be equal. And it's like, well, no, that's not how it works, so.
I can understand the basis of what they're trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the verifying the identity, especially, to differentiate from like news sources, you need to know that this is coming from somebody where they've done the due diligence to try and fact check whatever they're putting out. Now they screw up just like everyone screws up at some point. But it's just, I don't know, to then charge for it. They got to generate revenue. Be curious as to what happens to Twitter in the very near future.
Yeah. I like what Trevor Noah said. Just charge every white person for using the N-word on Twitter and you'd make your money back hand over foot. It's like, yeah, that's actually very, very true. If you charge them.
What do you want to charge? 50 cents, buck?
$20 every time you use it. Every time you use it, you're charged that.
I think you'd make more money if you lowered the threshold of what you're charging.
Oh, really? Like $5? Then more people would.
Because they would be like, well, I can use that 4 times. As $5 doesn't seem as detrimental to like, shit, $20 a pop. I really got to mean this.
Whereas that's the whole point. You're trying to encourage them not to use it, Matt, not to make money on
it. Look, you were just saying we want to generate revenue. I'm trying to help you generate. It's like a passive subscription versus
maybe a 10. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Shit, if I think you made it $1, you probably get like $7-8 out of certain tweets.
That's true. It was just one tweet. Yeah, it's a fair point. Just one.
And then that person rifles off 7 tweets in an hour. Boy, you just made $50.
Yeah.
I'm not advocating for any of this, by the way.
No, of course not. No.
But I like that idea. Good for you, Trevor.
Yeah, I thought that was funny too. Yeah, it's unfortunate, man. I mean, because it seemed to come out of nowhere. Like it seemed like he was done with it. He wasn't going to buy it. And then he all of a sudden just was.
Oh, he was forced to. He had to. He was under legal obligation. So once it came through that, like, Twitter was on the up and up about everything, and you just stalling because once you saw the financials, it wasn't as rosy as you were anticipating. That's my guess, at least. And then he was trying to find ways to back out by saying, like, "Oh, well, you didn't tell me that some percentage of the user base were all bots." And they're like, "You had access to. We gave you."
Yeah. It was all
full access to her. Yeah, it was all there. So eventually he was caught between a rock and a hard place, and then he got some of that Saudi money and paid $44 billion for Twitter, and here we go.
Yeah, the government's
New World Order.
Too, so we'll see. Yeah, but it's all a shit show, man. I mean,
remains to be seen if this is going to turn into a Yahoo situation where it gets bought at a high valuation and then 3 years down the line gets sold for a pittance.
Yeah,
which could happen.
Yeah, why not? But people don't have anywhere else to go, and there's no like ready-made other social network that rivals what you've got with Twitter. I mean, fuck Truth Social; it's barely alive. And what's the other one? The one that they're trying Tribal
or
whatever.
Tribal, and then there's another one that people are trying to to push. But I think Tribal, the owners of someone was I saw a tweet like, "Here's Tribal," but then the creator is someone that, do you want to put your faith in that individual? You might not.
Yeah. So,
I don't know much beyond it because I was just like, hey, I don't care.
Right. So just rolling with it, man. I mean, I lost like 150 followers after he took over, so it's just like, oh, it was weird. So, but it was nowhere near, what other people have lost. So it's like, okay, fuck it, we'll just keep doing our thing, see what happens, But yeah, it's crazy. A nice try to delay tactic though, because we are going to talk about this Kyrie situation. Come on, man, and Ime Udoka situation. What are your feelings on all of this, man? This is madness. For those
same as everyone else.
For those of you who may not know, Kyrie tweeted something out where a link to a book or a film. Actually,
it was a documentary.
To a documentary, and the documentary had some anti-Semitic tropes in it.
There's a direct quote from Hitler in the documentary.
There you go. He was asked to take it down.
Yeah, basically talking about that black people are the real Jews,
Yeah.
and the U.S. is, in essence, like, well, I can't remember the phrasing because I read it once and it was so baffling that that would be in there.
Yeah.
But basically, like Hitler was praising these uh, black Americans as being the real Jews, and we're not taking, not taking, but we're not utilizing them as members of our society
Yeah.
to the degree that we should, and all that. And we're like, we're talking about Hitler here, right?
Yeah.
Mister
So we're all on the same
Blonde hair,
page.
blue eye is throwing praise to black Jewish people here in the States. Like, does this not ring a lot of alarm bells for it? I can't imagine this is true
Yeah.
that he ever said this.
It's a much more complex thing to, and you'd have to spend a lot of time like reading all this stuff and to come up with a fully like knowledgeable opinion about all this kind of shit. And there's nothing wrong with having your opinions about all this kind of stuff, but there's a responsibility when you're a person of fame and celebrity, which you strove to achieve by being great at what you wanted to do in a public forum like the NBA. It's like the NBA showed up yesterday. It's been around for decades, and the popularity of it. And when he was going back and forth with that ESPN reporter trying to claim that he wasn't promoting the movie by
Yeah,
tweeting
that was
about it,
nonsense.
that's the stupidest thing. And if Shaq and Charles are agreeing to take you out, then you fucked up. So
Yeah, Adam Silver said he's going to talk with them this week.
yeah,
Kyrie, the
he issued
Nets,
an
in I think it's the ACLU, all
yeah,
put out a joint
no,
statement, and
Anti-Defamation League, the
yeah,
ADL.
Anti-Defamation League, and Kyrie and the Nets are each going to donate like
Yeah,
$500,000. But then he was quoted with reporters basically saying like, just because I put that tweet out and recommended that doc doesn't mean I agree with everything in the doc.
yeah,
Like, it kind of does, man.
yeah,
It kind of does. When you use your voice to elevate the platform of that, you're saying, I agree with this, even if you don't. You didn't
yeah,
put a disclaimer in there saying, hey, minutes 22 through 27 are on the money. The rest of it, I'm not sure about. Had you done that, be like, okay,
yeah.
well,
That's a whole no problem. Yeah,
yeah, I'll focus on that. And then the
yeah,
rest may be nonsense. But there could be a kernel of truth in the middle of this quagmire of anti-Semitism.
yeah,
I haven't watched it. I don't know.
yeah,
But
yeah.
to say that you're not vouching for and then agreeing with is nonsense.
It's
I
a
don't
big
know.
time cop out. It's a big time cop out. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
it's
a
just,
whole powder keg of, because then we get into the Kanye stuff,
oh yeah, oh
and then there's
yeah,
Jaylen Brown is kind of wishy-washy about the Donda stuff because he was signed with their sports agency and
that's right.
then resigned from it after a couple of days of public pressure. But then I don't know if he's unliked, but he liked a few posts basically saying it was bullshit that he would have to disassociate himself from Donda and be like,
Yeah,
okay, it's a lot to take in.
it is.
Yeah, the NBA is a bit of a mess right now
I know
in
it's kind
certain
of weird.
pockets.
It's kind of weird, and
Yeah.
but like now the rumors are, according to Shams, that they're looking at Ime Udoka and that the Celtics aren't going to fight them on.
No, he's gone. It's done. He's
Wow,
going to be the Nets head coach.
that's insane to me. Like you had an inappropriate relationship. They're exploring whether you were inappropriate with her after you did engage in the consensual relationship, and now you're going to bring him over into another head coaching position. That to me is so fucking insane. You know?
Yeah, for non-sports fans, which is quite a few of you, it'd be
Yeah,
the equivalent of. So he took a team that had all the promise in the world and got them to the championship. They didn't win, but they were leading the series at one point. It's like Feige right before Avengers, before they're a
yeah,
full
yeah,
celebrated hit. You've got Iron Man and Thor and Iron Man 2 and all that. And you're like, wow, they're really building something.
yeah.
And then a huge scandal comes out where Feige was doing inappropriate things. And then not 3 months later, DC snaps him up once Marvel says, you're not going to be the head of
Right.
our company anymore. And you have to basically, we're going to pay you to be away from us for a year.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he said, fine. And then after 3 months, DC came in and said, hey, what you guys doing with that exec over there? Is he looking for a job? Because we got an opening, which is what the Nets did.
Yeah.
They fired a guy that never really had a chance. in
Yeah.
one of the weirdest situations. And then you have like the Josh Primo stuff in San
Oh my
Antonio.
god, that's crazy, dude.
Yeah, which the more information comes
Oh,
out there, it gets worse and worse and worse.
yeah. Apparently, they're
So,
getting sued now,
yep,
the
by the
Spurs
woman.
over this. Yeah, by the woman who was
Yeah,
victim.
apparently pulled his crank out. It was either 7 or 9 times exposing himself to her,
Jesus Christ.
and she told people in there. It sounds like a college story because eventually, like everybody found out, and
Yeah, yeah,
then it took a while for anything to happen.
yeah. What if dude's
Uh,
obsessed with showing their penises, man? It's kind of weird.
yeah, I don't know.
Like Paint Manning got in trouble with that. One of the female trainers, accused him of doing that at University of Tennessee. That she was working on his leg and she came up and he had purposely pulled out his to surprise her, and it's like, what the fuck, So it's
I
kind of
mean,
weird.
it is. You not excuse it, but you could say, well, he's got raging hormones because like Josh Primo's barely 19
Yeah,
years
he's
old.
19. Yeah.
And I'm not excusing the action, but I'm also saying you're still kind of a dumb kid at that age.
Yeah.
Like you're not fully an adult. I didn't feel like I was an adult until 28.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like legitimately. That's when I finally was like, you know what? I think I'm done. Like I don't feel like a kid anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm once again not excusing. I'm just saying a lot of hormones and a lot of bad decisions and then compounding and making the
Yeah.
whole situation worse.
But Kyrie's not, and I think that's the most
Yeah,
frustrating.
Kyrie's 30.
And he's had issues every place he's gone. Fucking Cavaliers with LeBron, the Celtics, and now here. And so it's just so frustrating to deal with a guy like this. And look, he may be, he's got a right to express his feelings, beliefs. Of course, America, knock yourself out. But you can't eliminate your responsibility whenever you feel like it, like when it's convenient for you. That's ridiculous. Like, because even in the statement he issued last night as we're recording this, there's no apology here. And Silver even said that he's upset that he stopped short of an apology. He just explained it. And and then he got defensive with reporters again when he was asked about it this morning. And so it's like, he really just is like, I believe what I believe. Fuck you guys for asking me anything about it.
Yeah, which is perfectly fine. But then you can't just
Yeah.
say you're misinterpreting me or
I think it's unintelligent. I think if you want to come across as some kind of intelligent, knowledgeable person about a subject matter, but if you get questioned by reporters, you immediately become defensive. It screams, I'm not that smart about this shit. I'm not. And I'm unconfident or I'm not confident about my beliefs. It is not about the fact that it's white reporters asking a black player. No, it's not. It's none of that bullshit. It's about the fact that you don't, and anybody who did this, and regardless of color, if you're constantly defensive about something and you're getting asked legitimate questions and you can't just calmly explain yourself, then forget it. Like you're clearly showing that you're defensive about it, and because you're defensive about it, that reads as insecure about it or not intelligent about it. And so to me, it undercuts you trying to come across as someone who is really trying to make people aware about an issue or aware about a historical thing that you believe in. So just frustrating all around, man. Because the
yeah,
Nets are. If I was Durant, I wouldn't play another fucking game. I would just be like, look, guys, I'm not playing for you fuckers anymore. Get me the hell
he'll
out of
never
here.
do that.
Yeah,
He'll never do that. He loves to play. He just wants to play. That's all he wants in this world.
I guess you're right. I guess
He does.
I guess.
But he does want off that team. So does
Yeah.
Kyrie.
Yeah. Maybe but who would take Kyrie now? I mean, like, there are rumors that LeBron has been behind the scenes kind of.
Sure. They want to give
kicking
him
the
their
tires.
20s. Well, they're holding off my guess. I don't know this.
Yeah.
But they're holding off in the hopes that Kyrie becomes so toxic they don't have to package both their first rounders to get him.
It's horrible.
That's my guess what their hope is.
Yeah.
But Westbrook coming off the bench, hey, 2 W's.
Well, what do you know? What do you know?
And the right attitude. Look, I'd be amazed if this maintains because they still have a lot of the same problems. Can't shoot from 3. Their defense is lackluster, and whatever. But it's still early in the season, so who knows? But
teams are going to start planning for it. Now that you've showed you can do this, they'll start planning for it. And what happens if someone on your front line gets injured? Then Russell's no longer on the bench, and you're back in the same issue. So
yeah, yep.
Yeah, it's craziness. How are your Bulls? Are your Bulls all right?
Not bad. I mean,
okay.
Had a couple good wins as of late. Came back and beat the Nets a couple nights ago on Tuesday night, and then last night beat Charlotte.
Oh, nice.
We're above 500. We should be another game above 500 had the Wizards not cheated
Oh, for
and
God's sakes. Oh, for
stolen a game
love
against us. But,
of
whatever.
God.
Neither here nor there. Look, it happens. It's like Tyler Hero's game-winning shot last night. He traveled against the Kings. He did. It's still a great shot, but I saw the Mike Brown press conference first because I wasn't watching that game.
Mhm.
And then it's like, oh, did he travel? And then I went and watched him be like, oh, undoubtedly he traveled.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it happens,
Sure.
especially to good teams when the refs feel like they got to bail out lesser teams and
Yeah.
they don't call fouls when they really should.
That shouldn't be happening. Yeah. Well, my Wizards are 4-4. We've regressed back to the mean. Just like
Yeah, it should be 3-5, but that's fine. Congratulations on 4-4.
Oh my God, Jesus Christ!
I just say
You're still above us, man. There's
you
gonna
play
be
the game the
plenty
right
more
way,
games.
though. You should be rewarded.
Oh
That's the
my.
thing.
You do remember you had Rodman on your team for a while. Speaking of, you do remember that, right?
Yeah, 25 years ago.
Oh, I'm just saying.
That's fine, but the sins of my father are not mine necessarily. So I don't know that this team needs to carry the baggage of what happened 25, 30 years ago.
God, it's been that long. You're right about that. Oof. All right. Anyway, so we've jibber jabber for 21 minutes. Let's get into the show here, Matt. These are the top 10 films set in Las Vegas, as you said, from our patron Charles Clark here. We love to do these once a month. And we appreciate all the people who are patrons of the top 10. And this is when you're the highest level of the tier there on our patron website. You can select the topic. So you can go there to patreon.com/the top 10 if you want to join. So yeah, top 10 films set in Vegas. I'm sure you've got his list. So
I don't have it yet.
oh, okay.
So I'm emailing him again, but I'm going to let him know, hey, if you can't get it in time, we can always read it next week.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. Because we want to make sure he was nice enough to give us a topic that we both jumped on. So
yeah, for sure. Okay, so how do we do the show here, Matt? What do we do?
Once we set a topic, which Charles did for us this time, we go our separate ways and create individual top 10 lists. Show back up here. I do my bottom three. He does his bottom three. I do my next two. He does his next two. Then we trade one apiece. Once we have revealed our personal top 10 lists, we create the shows between the two of us.
Boom. All right. Matt Nost, start us off. What do you got?
My number 10. So I tried to skew a little bit more towards movies that spent a ton of time or more in Vegas.
Okay.
Because there's quite a few who are just like, yeah, they have the story goes to Vegas for a little while, but it's set predominantly here or predominantly there.
Yeah.
And Vegas is just part of the journey of the story itself. So I shied away from that as much as I could.
Okay.
And at 10, I have a movie that I cannot recommend to anyone. But yet when I saw it in the theater, I laughed a ton.
Okay.
Which is Rat Race.
Oh, that's a good film. Yeah,
most people would disagree with us. Most people think it is one of the worst movies made that year.
Crazy. I love that film.
John Cleese killed me every scene he was in that movie. Every single one.
And this is one of those performances that features a Rowan Atkinson who isn't doing Mr. Bean.
Yeah.
And so he is funny. We know the race. He is so hilarious in the role that he's playing. Whoopi is funny as shit. And I rarely see Whoopi being funny in movies anymore. So seeing her being funny in this was great. The Lucille Ball stuff, the Cuba Gooding was hilarious. The Amy Smart stuff with Jamie Kennedy?
Meyer.
Yeah,
and Jamie Kennedy.
Meyer, right.
Yeah.
It's all kind of interesting and weird, but like overall, I was really because I like It's a Mad, Mad, Mad World, which is essentially a version of this. But this one actually was funny, and I will watch it whenever I catch it on when I'm flipping channels. Even John Lovitz's stuff with Kathy and Jimmy was hilarious. So
yeah, the over the top Hitler.
Oh God,
with the shoe polish mustache. I saw that coming from a mile away. I still found it entertaining. That's when I knew I was like, I like this movie.
Yeah.
And walking out of it, I was like, I bet you this thing just gets pilloried.
Yeah.
And it did. And
Yeah.
if you want to take fault and be like, this wasn't good. I mean, once again, humor is very subjective,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but I walked into it with an open mind and I was just looking to laugh, and it more than succeeded. I walked out going, that was, I enjoyed that a lot. But I cannot sit here and give you like some sort of stamp of approval. It's
Yeah,
one of those, if it gets you, you'll enjoy it. But I would imagine the preponderance of individuals that are listening to this, if they haven't seen it, they went to watch it, they wouldn't enjoy it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know. It struck me. It struck the right nerve the day that I saw it, and I still like it to this day.
I agree. It's a good ending too. I like that ending as well. All right, what's your 9?
My 9 is The Cooler.
Oh, dude, that was a tough cut. Right at the edge, man. I like that movie a lot. The William H. Macy film.
Yeah, he basically plays a professional loser. That's his job.
Mhm.
He works at a casino, which I believe this was a thing at one point. Like this
Yeah.
was a legitimate thing.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
coolers and casinos?
yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Um, I it always struck me as could be one of those myths of maybe it existed at one casino for a short while,
Right, right.
but his job was Alec Baldwin ran the casino. I can't remember if he ran the casino or he was the pit boss.
I think he was the pit boss.
Okay. So if anybody ended up getting too hot, like on the tables and they're raking in the cash, he would send in Macy, and Macy's just undeniable bad luck
Yeah,
would bleed over into the other person just by osmosis. He was close enough and it would leach into their system and suddenly they'd turn into losers.
yeah,
And that was his job. And then eventually he meets Maria Bello, and things suddenly aren't so dreary in his life, and he starts to lose some of his professional loserism.
yeah.
And Alec Baldwin is not pleased by the fact that he can no longer use his cooler to keep his casino in the black at all times.
Yeah. Yeah,
And the
yeah.
push and pull of him wanting a more normal life, and the growth there from just wallowing in self-pity and whatnot,
Mhm.
versus the blustering, the raging bull that is Alec Baldwin. Uh yeah, it's a good movie. I mean, it was up for Oscar consideration in that it
Yeah,
was in the discussion that year.
yeah,
It never had any kind of chance for any awards, but it's one of those where it's a really good movie and everybody agreed like there's some great performances in this,
yeah.
and it's a very small film. So hopefully by us discussing it in the press and whatnot, we can get more people to go see it because you got a lot of actors doing some incredible stuff.
Yeah, I'm not a big Maria Bello fan, but I liked her in this movie, and I liked this. This was kind of the let's discover William H. Macy portion of his career, right? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, him leading an independent film like this, it getting the kind of reaction that it got, I think was one of those essential bricks in the whole thing of people understanding how good of an actor William H. Macy is. And Baldwin plays the how can I say this? The kind of not a villainous, but antagonistic, low voice guy in millions of movies. So when he does a performance in that vein, but it stands out, it's because he's putting a little more effort in, and you can sense in this movie how much more of an effort he puts into this film, and the back and forth with him and Macy works, and the stuff with his with Macy's son or daughter, son, having that girlfriend and whatever, and they were trying to make her happen. I forget that actress's name for a while, and having that all be an element of what he's doing is just so interesting. And it's as far as Vegas films, you've got some nice independent film storylines going on with all these people. It's a bit more rougher than you would anticipate, but it really does work, and he does a fantastic job in that movie. Absolutely. So yeah.
Stella Warren.
Yes, Stella Warren. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because she was in the Planet of the Apes movie with Wahlberg. They were trying to make her happen for a while. She's a former swimmer who tried to become an actress, and she was not good. But in this film, playing the seedy kind of role that she's playing, she wasn't bad. Like Blake Lively in The Town. It's not bad. They did
Yeah,
okay.
you're not asked to do much.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So yeah. Okay. What's your 8?
My 8 might be higher on your list.
Okay.
Which is Bugsy.
Yeah, just slightly higher, but it is higher. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
All right. So then my 10 is Honeymoon in Vegas.
Go right ahead.
Okay, I love this film. It still holds up. Watch some scenes for it to get ready for the show today, and still love Nicolas Cage in this movie. James Caan, the late great James Caan in this movie, and Sarah Jessica Parker, who of course wasn't always good at doing the theatrical stuff, but I like the chemistry that everybody has. Even got a Pat Morita in this movie, driving him around in the taxi. But I like the story. It's a guy who can't commit. His girlfriend finally is like, fuck this. And he gambles her away to James Caan. Now, it's, of course, you're looking at it from the sexual politics of 2022. It's a terrible situation, but she does kind of go, well, fuck this guy. I'm going to explore this idea with this dude. And he's initially nice to her, but then, of course, things change. And so that means, I mean, James Caan, that is, things change with him and Jessica Parker. So, but Nicolas Cage realizes what he's done eventually and starts to try to fight to go find her, and all the shit he goes through to try to find her and get to her and all of that. It's so funny and so good. And by the end, when he parachutes in with the Flying Elvis's, the Utah chapter,
Yeah.
it's one of my favorite endings to any movie, any one of these rom-com movies that I've seen. So yeah, I like it. And it makes a great use of Vegas throughout the whole movie. So,
Yeah, I got to imagine that was Nick Cage at one of his happiest moments is with a bunch of other Elvises.
yeah. Probably.
I that dude seems like such an Elvis file.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that for a fact, but just
Oh,
I would bet quite
Yeah.
heavily.
Yeah. If you guys could just drop me over Vegas, oh, we'll drop you. We'll drop you. Anyway, just such a good movie. Still fun to explore. My number 9, speaking of Elvis, is Viva Las Vegas.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I like this film. Elvis didn't make a lot of good movies. I'm a huge Elvis fan, but I'm also honest. And he didn't make a lot of good movies, but this one was one of those ones that kind of stands out above the rest. Him and Aunt Margaret having fantastic chemistry. He's much more relaxed in this movie than you might see him in some other films. And there's a fun little kind of chemistry with him and everybody that he's got. The guy he's working with in the car shop, the little kid in the hotel. All of it works so well here for him to kind of establish what he's trying to do. The dance sequences are great. The songs come in at the right time, and the overall vibe is just so cool. And so for me, this is one of the rare Elvis movies that I still go back and watch and enjoy. So I had to put it on my list for anybody who might not have known about this film or might think all Elvis films are the same. This one's a cut above the rest, and it's because of his performance and his chemistry with Anne Margaret, who is damn good in the movie, by the way. So that's my talk on 9. Have you seen this? Did you talk to?
Yeah, I've seen
Okay.
I've seen this. I've seen Blue Hawaii, and I've
Oh yeah, Blue
seen
Hawaii.
Kid Creole.
Yeah.
And I want to say I've seen like one other one.
Okay.
I don't get it.
All right. Fair enough.
But at the same time, it's like I am distinctly in the minority because that guy still has a pull
Oh yeah.
40 some odd years after his passing.
Yeah.
40. Yeah, we're coming up on 45 years since he passed away. And he's
Yeah.
still, I mean, that I did contemplate putting on Elvis.
Oh yeah. Right. The most recent one.
But
right.
There's, a bunch of stuff in Memphis. And I was like,
Yeah. There's not enough in Vegas. It's only the last half an hour, 45 minutes of the movie is Vegas.
Yeah. Bugsy, I finagled, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah. I think that qualifies them.
Yeah. We wouldn't have these movies without him.
Right. My number 8 is Rango, because it happens all around Vegas.
Is that for a fact? I read that too, and I was like, I don't remember any kind of mention of Vegas in the movie.
It's all around Vegas, man.
Do they say that in the movie, or is that just part of the Wikipedia description? There's like, oh yeah, it happens outside of Vegas, and we're told that third hand, but we don't experience it in the movie. That's where my head was like, I don't remember them ever saying, because there's the car ride driving in,
Yeah,
where he's still in his little aquarium, so maybe there's mention of it there. There's like a signpost or something, but I don't remember there being.
There's a Las Vegas scene there. So it says it's in Vegas. It's in the Mojave Desert surrounding Vegas. So are we saying the desert is not part of Vegas? I feel like it is part of Vegas.
It's on your list. There's no are we saying, this is are you saying.
I'm not. I'm saying it is.
Yeah, I saw it on Wikipedia's list of movies set in Vegas, and then I sat there and racked my brain. I was like, when is Vegas in this movie? And I've
Isn't
seen
that
that
what
movie.
he's? Isn't that what he's looking at the beginning of the film? He's looking at the city of Vegas there, and it's all about the pipeline of water being shut down to Vegas, right?
There's the waters to the local communities. I don't.
Right.
Yeah, maybe. Look, you give us
Yeah.
Rango, and I'll look it up and see if I can find
Okay.
specifically Vegas comes into this.
Good film. Damn good film of Gore Verbinski. Depp does a great job voicing over Rango. This is a great Western. First of all, let's put that on the table. This is a damn good Western with its overall vibe, even though it's animated. And I think who else? Oh, yeah. Isla Fisher, Bill Nighy, Ray Winstone, Timothy Oliphant is the voice of the West or the spirit of the West, which is essentially the Clint
Yep.
Eastwood character. Yeah.
Yeah, it's there. I forgot about the scene. Yep, it's there.
Yeah.
All right, so Rango makes my list.
Oh, okay.
Keep
This
going
thing
though.
made $250 million. That's pretty good. But yeah, overall, and Roger Deakins did the cinematography, and y'all might be like, "What?" But some of this stuff was shot live action in terms of movement and what have you, and they just kind of used that in the animation. So that's another element of this that I think is fantastic. The film feels like a theatrical film that is not animated, even though it is animated, and I think that speaks volumes about the quality of it. So for me, this one is still one that I turn on and watch whenever I can because I love the voiceover work. I love the story as kind of
Oh,
a simulated Chinatown story in this film, and then the direction overall by Verbinski is great.
yeah. So I moved that to 2.
Wow! All right,
Oh, I love Rango.
I'm glad I talked about it here. Then all right,
There's
let's.
yeah. I can't believe I forgot that scene.
Mm,
As soon as it showed what it was, I found it on YouTube.
yeah,
And it's like, oh yeah, it's right there. So then all the water would be leading in, so they'd be right outside of totally 100%. I can't believe this escaped me.
right.
Um,
Okay. Well, then I
yeah.
won't say anything when we get to your 2. You can just talk from that point.
Well, we can do it now, and then when we get to my 2, we already know my 2 since we're talking about Rango now.
Okay. If you want to talk about it, go ahead, Maya.
Yeah, there's an awesome documentary about the making of it where they talk about the animators, and Verbinski rented a house in the hills, and all the animators basically just lived there.
Wow.
And they would come up with the sketch design and composites for the characters, and they had them all up on there, and they would go through and like make revisions and whatnot and do the storyboarding. But then they brought in all the actors, and the actors basically did the movie as a play.
Wow.
And the animators were watching, and so they would get the video of the actors going through it, so they had points of reference of how they were bringing to life these characters. It's fantastic.
Oh, okay.
And then you throw in Depp playing an actor in the movie because that's what the chameleon is. He's an actor.
He is an actor, yeah.
So he just keeps changing and morphing into these various parts. It is excellent voice acting. Like Bill Nighy as the rattlesnake is amazing.
So good.
Ned Beatty as the puppet master, so to speak.
Yeah.
Just a fantastic voice. There's just over and over and over. The casting is really good. Yeah, I think I've seen that thing like 15, 20 times.
Wow.
I'm a fan. I think that transcends the animation genre for me. That is just an excellent story.
Yeah.
And then it's pertinent to, much like you said, with Chinatown.
Yeah. Yeah. The water.
But then the behind the scenes stuff makes me love it all that much more.
There you go. All right. What's your 7?
So, well, rejiggering technically previously.
Previously on
my
list.
7 is now my number 8. So my 8 is The Hangover.
Oh yeah, that's a punt.
Okay, that's fine. So my 7 is Fright Night.
That's my 7.
All coming up. Aces, baby. Aces.
This is the remake, right? Not the original?
Yeah, 100%. Does the original take place in Vegas? I don't remember it taking place in Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I think the setting is kind of perfect for it. Somebody that's nocturnal in a city like that. Like, yeah, this is a city that that legitimately never sleeps. Everything stays open 24 hours a day because you can make money at 4 a.m. because we got drunks. Uh, so to have somebody that exists on that kind of time cycle
Hmm.
isn't anomalous. I'm sure there are quite a few people in the same neighborhood. It's just like, yeah, that guy is a dealer, and then that person is on a wait staff
Yeah.
somewhere, and this
Yeah.
one works in this. And it's just like, yeah, they have the graveyard shift.
Yeah.
So to have somebody else on that as well, and he's a youngish guy, so he's like, yeah, I work in a club, I'm a promoter, I'm a this or that or the other. Easily, just seamlessly blend right in with the surroundings,
Yeah. Yeah.
and an interesting choice from Colin Farrell.
Yeah. Right. I mean, like, this is right around that time where he's like, you're not sure where he's going as an actor, and he's not really sure where he's going, it seems like, as well, and takes on this role, and he does an excellent job. He is scary as fuck in this movie, in how he plays this character. I mean, that scene where he's coming through the car, holy shit, man. Anton Yelchin, who unfortunately we lost way too early, is great in the film. McLovin is hilarious as essentially as
Yeah,
Renfield.
his Renfield, he's really good.
So funny. David Tennant is hilarious as the magician who comes in and is like not really a real magician. And
Well, he's a
um,
vampire slayer, isn't he? That's like it's
yeah,
all
Vampire Slayer. That's right.
bluster, and then
Yeah,
when the shit hits the fan, maybe not.
yeah. And
It's like
Tony Collette is
hiring the
his.
three amigos.
Oh, that's right. That's right. And Tony Collette, who's his mom, does a great job.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the girl. I don't know if she's the girl from Disturbia or not, but she's good in the film as well. So just overall, a great cast, a good remake. And I think this is Craig Gillespie, if I'm not wrong, who did the remake. Who does damn good films? Is that right? It was Craig Gillespie. Am I wrong on that? Yeah, it was. Okay, yeah. Craig. I think he did I Tanya. Yeah, he did I Tanya, Real Girl, or Lars and the Real
Lars and the
Girl.
Real Girl. Wow, what a
Yeah,
weird.
and
Those are three films I like, though.
yeah, and he did Cruella as well, which I thought was good. So an interesting cat as a director for sure. But yeah, I like this movie a lot, and everyone that was involved in making it, I think, did a damn good job. And it's not easy to remake a horror film. We've seen a lot of terrible remakes, in my
Yeah.
opinion, over the last few years, and this one really kind of does something new with the original material.
I mean, I remember when it was coming out, and I was like,
Mm.
why is Colin Farrell doing a Fright Night remake?
Yeah, yeah.
It just didn't make any sense to me. And I was like, God, is his career like this dog shit all of a sudden? And I'm not knocking
No, no.
horror movies because they've, for as many that are mediocre to bad that come out, there's some really good ones that are coming out. Whereas I think I'm bringing my prejudice from horror films as a kid,
Yeah, yeah,
which
yeah.
they were almost all schlock.
Yeah.
I'd watch them. I personally wouldn't get scared. That's why I don't watch horror. The entire point of it doesn't really work on me.
Yeah.
Not saying I'm like some badass or something, but I'm always like, of course he came out from behind there.
Right.
How are you scared by this? Where else is he going to come from?
Yeah.
So yeah, when it was announced, and I was like, man, I thought this guy was going places, and now he's doing a remake of the horror film. And then a couple years later, I decided to watch it, and I was like,
Yeah.
man, excellent choice. Although I think that was part of the Renaissance for me. Why I went back and watched it, because he'd just done, I'd seen In Bruges, and I had seen a few other things where you're like, you know what? I like the choices that he makes and the characters that he creates.
Yeah.
So then to go back and watch Fright Night with a more open perspective,
Yeah.
it did it justice in my opinion. I'm glad that I didn't see it earlier.
Yeah. I mean, his career is so weird at the beginning. Tigerland is the one that kind of announces him, and then he does that American Outlaws movie, Heart's War, which I don't know if anybody saw. Then he's
No.
great in Minority Report, but then he's the lead in Phone Booth. The Recruit sank. Daredevil was so weird for so many reasons that were not him, but he was so cheesy in that. Veronica
Yeah, I thought
Guerin.
Alexander was going to kill his career.
Yeah, and then Alexander in 2004, right? But
Because that was like the big, huge epic. This is
Yeah.
Oscar. This is everything. We are pinning a ton of money on a gladiator-esque film,
right.
and it flopped.
It did. And then he does Miami Vice 2 years later, and that was another one that people were like, what the fuck? So he kind of was in this weird place. Then In Bruges 2008, then Crazy Heart in 2009, which is damn good. And then he has this weird like London Boulevard, Horrible, Bosses, then Fright Night, Total Recall, Seven Psychopaths, Dead Man Down, Saving Mr. Banks, Winter's Tale, Miss Julie, and then The Lobster. I think The Lobster, and then that kind of started this path of looking at Colin Farrell in a different way. And I think since then we've kind of seen a different, more respect, I guess, to Colin Farrell as he's approaching these characters and these roles. You know. Yeah,
Yeah.
like well, the stuff that came through. So, all right. Well, what's your 6 now?
My number 6 now is not going to be on your list, which is Fear and Loathing.
Oh yeah, go ahead, man. Knock yourself out.
Yeah, I know you're not a fan.
Not my jam.
We got to get you to do some drugs, man, and then you might.
I have done drugs. It is still not my jam.
Listen.
Yeah.
I don't. The mania of being on that many drugs really comes across in the film, and not in a watching an actor try and play drunk where it's so obvious.
Yeah.
They look like they're gacked out of their minds, and it doesn't look like they're acting. It's very much Leo and Wolf of Wall Street while he's trying to crawl to that Lamborghini, which is the best inebriated I think I've seen anybody ever play. Because the commitment, it's so over the top, it's believable.
Yeah.
But in this, just the mania of being on that many psychoactive elements and how you interpret the world at that point.
Yeah.
Because I've been personally to the degree where so high that the world is a lot to take in and it's hard to process, and I don't exactly know what's going on.
Yeah.
For a decent chunk of time. Like there's just so much, and I'm processing things that happened 5 minutes ago, and the world has moved on, and now I don't get what happened in the past 5 minutes. My brain didn't, was still processing, and it jumps forward. Now something else is happening. I'm like, well, what happened to this over here? We've moved on.
Yeah.
But in my high state, I was like, yeah, but we should talk about this, guys. This was important. It really wasn't. I'm thinking of a few instances in particular.
Yeah.
Where I was just completely lost. And yeah, to see that kind of mania come across.
Yeah.
And it, to me, I think somewhat captures a little bit of what it must have been like to be Hunter S. Thompson.
Yeah.
Which I don't think I've ever seen truly represented. Usually it's a more cartoonish approach. Not saying that this doesn't have some of those elements, but it ringed a little bit more of truth to me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, again, it was worth one watch, but it was so out there. Like you said, Terry Gilliam, hit or miss, and our other show that we did recently, we recorded. So this is one of those misses for me. It just doesn't. It's just so fucking out there. I can't quite come back to it.
This is one that works for me. So
yeah, fair enough. All right, so my 7, as we said, is Fright Night. And my number 6 is Swingers.
Go for it.
Okay. Yeah, I still think this film works. I still like to go back and watch it. It's a combo of nostalgia, but I mean, a majority of the first part of the movie is all in Vegas, and then they eventually end up in LA later. But this is where, or I guess they start out in LA, they end up.
Yeah, then they take a trip to Vegas because Mike is so distraught.
Right. So a lot of what, and the reason I put it on my list because there's a lot of what happens after Vegas begins the process of his changing. The experience of Vegas is the beginning of him like realizing, I've got to fix this, and so you're seeing him, the situation with Vince, of course, going crazy and all that stuff that he's doing, the gambling they do, the conversations they have with the women, the way he's fucking talking to her in the trailer park or whatever, and she's just like, oh my God, it's so sad, and him ruining it's his chance to hook up with the girl.
Stop talking about the damn ex.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So there's so much here that bears fruit later on in the movie, which is why I think it's an important film that's set in Vegas. And I put it on my list, and I really like the performances. I mean, this is Favreau. I don't think I've seen Favreau this good since, to be honest with you. Yeah, I like him as Happy Hogan, and he's fun in Elf and all these other things, but he's really acting in this movie. And he does a great job in the film. Vince too. And Vince, if you go back and watch this, Vince looks like he's 12 in the fucking movie. It's insane how skinny and thin he is, but he does. They have such great chemistry, and the conversations that they're having. It's just a cool fucking film. It's just it feels like the whole film. It feels like they're in Vegas in the whole film, even though they're not in Vegas the whole film, and I kind of like that vibe. So that's why it still works for me.
Yeah, I mean that Rat Packy
Yes, that's what I mean. Yeah,
moment in
absolutely.
time of the same time those Gap commercials were going on, and the Big
The
Band
swing.
Swing and
Yeah,
Big Bad Voodoo Daddy and all that nonsense. There was
the
a moment in time. And
Squirrels.
this movie was one of the better elements of that moment in
Yeah,
time.
yeah. It's kind of crazy. I was talking to Lily about this, and she was like, "Well, they still swing dance." And I'm like, "No. There's still places where people will go to swing dance, but it is nowhere near where it was
Yeah, it
during the
wasn't
craze."
a cultural craze for like a year
Yeah,
to a year and a half where I knew people that took classes in swing
yeah,
dancing.
yeah. The Brown Derby would do this whole thing where you show up like an hour or two before it officially opens, and you pay an extra little bit, and they teach you the dances so you could do them when they officially open that night. So yeah, it was a big deal in LA. I remember that. It's crazy. Anyway, all right. Should we take a break here, Matt?
That we shall. We'll take a quick break here. This word from our sponsor. Be right back after this.
Okay. All right, Matt, let's head into our top fives. Take it away.
Let's head into our top fives. At 5, I have Leaving Las Vegas.
Ooh, that's my 4. Let's do it.
Um, it was originally my 4, so we would have been simpatico. This is a hard movie to watch,
Oh yeah. Oh
and
yeah.
I've only watched it once all the way through.
Okay.
I've gone back for scenes to see certain things,
Mm,
um, just to relive those moments. But it's very much like Requiem and a couple others where I really enjoyed the movie, and it will live with me. I will never forget it.
mm,
And it still has the impact as I'm thinking about this man who is choosing to destroy his life, and Elizabeth Shue is kind of along for the ride.
yeah.
And it is brutal to watch.
Yeah.
Um, and it's honest when a person like, chooses to make this decision
Yeah.
and is fully committed to it. And the idea that they're never going to deviate, and he's just going to continue to drink, wake up in the morning, start drinking, drink all day, drink all night,
Yeah.
go to sleep, and until he can no longer do any of it. That is his game plan. And it is harrowing to watch.
There's no how can I say this correctly? The arc is for everybody else in the movie.
Sure.
Elizabeth Shue goes on her arc um because of what he's doing, right? He's very clear about who he is and what he wants. And there, as you said, Matt, there's no deviating from the script. And she tries to get him to, glimpse the possibility of life. And we don't know what happened. That's the crazy part about this movie. Sometimes we ding movies because we're like, they didn't build up the backstory enough. I didn't care about this character because they didn't give me, the idea of what happened behind the character. This guy from the beginning, something happened. He set everything on fire. His wife left him, his
Yeah.
business.
He
And
worked in like a studio here in LA or something
yeah,
like that. He worked in Hollywood.
he worked in Hollywood. Yeah. And he just decided that it was over. And he made a very concrete decision that he was going to drink until he died.
Yeah.
And that's what he did every single fucking day. And yes, he had this relationship with Elizabeth Shue's character. And certainly there's real feeling and affection between each other there. But it wasn't going to stop him from doing what he was doing. It's a very rare film where the protagonist has no real arc and is very clear about who they are from beginning all the way to the end. And they accomplish the goal by the end of the movie. And it still has a happy ending because she gets pregnant with his baby. And so there's a way of bringing his life, may have his life mean a little bit here in the end. But overall, it's just an incredible performance from Cage. And there's some scenes that are pretty brutal to watch, and how he breaks her heart a number of times.
Yeah. Well, I
And
mean,
then
there's her
yeah.
when she's out on the job scene.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
But the one that killed me is when she gets him the flask
Yeah.
and the look on his face, and he's like, "I'm with a girl who understands."
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm watching that going, "You you just gifted him the nails that go in his coffin." And he took it knowing that's what it was and was excited about the fact that you're gonna help nail him into his coffin.
Yeah, yeah,
And I was
yeah,
like, "God, this fucking movie,
yeah.
so good."
I don't know if you can get away with this movie nowadays. I don't know
I
if you
think you
could get
could.
away with it. Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, I think you could.
All right. Because this idea is everyone's about like we're talking more about mental health nowadays, and which is a great thing. And those things are becoming more a part of storylines in movies and TV shows. Would a movie get away with a guy who wants to kill himself, wants to commit suicide from the beginning of the movie, and you have the female protagonist help him do it? I don't know. So yeah, it's. I hear you. You probably could, but I wonder what the reaction would be for sure. But this is still a fucking good movie, and some good music from Sting and Eric Clapton in the movie as well that I think works well with the score.
Yeah.
I mean, that scene where she lifts up her leg to kind of show the pimp, like, "Go ahead, cut me where you need to cut me." It's fun. That's a powerful scene, man. Just a powerful fucking scene. All right, where are we next?
That was my 5, year 4, so what's your 5?
Oh, my 5 is Bugsy, which was the punt from earlier.
Okay.
Love this movie, man. Barry Levinson. And I'm not the biggest Warren Beatty guy, but I like him in this movie. I like him because he's not the swaggering cool kid. He's actually got vulnerabilities. He's actually he's cuckolded to this woman, Virginia Hill. Even though he's cuckolded from a strong place, he's still cuckolded to her. And I like that you're going on a journey with these characters, wondering if who you should be cheering for. And I think Kingsley is a fantastic Meyer Lansky, maybe the best Meyer Lansky we've ever seen on screen. Lucky Luciano, that guy, whoever they cast, does a really nice job with it as well. And the thing about him is that this is a guy you should not have any sympathy for, or you shouldn't like at all. But there's something about Beatty's performance as Bugsy in this movie that makes him likable. And that speech from Kingsley at the end, talking about how his friend built this city and no one's ever going to give him credit, they're not even going to build a statue
Yeah.
for him, is just heartbreaking when you see it. And she was right in the end. She really did love him in the end. And I think that's great as well. And Benning is fantastic in the movie. Good God, she's a fucking dynamo in the film.
Hey, it's kind of impressive that
Mm.
he had this vision
Right?
that ultimately came to fruition. That's why it makes it on my list, because they spend a good chunk of time in Los Angeles.
Yes, they do. They do.
I'd say the majority of the movie is in Los Angeles. But if there is no Bugsy, there is no Las Vegas.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not the luxury destination that it is to this day.
Yeah.
And so you got to give credit where credit is due. It needs to make the list. The movie's really good. And it's also talking about mob, actual mob characters or
Yeah.
individuals, which I'm always a fan of. And Bugsy doesn't get as much play as Luciano Meyer Lansky.
Yeah. When
As
they
far
talk
as,
about murder.
yeah,
Yeah.
the stories, everything you read, because they were the brains and Bugsy was the brawn.
Yeah. And the looks.
And
Yeah.
the looks. I was about to say that. The Warren Beatty casting, by all accounts, I don't know how good Bugsy was compared to his compatriots, but by all accounts, he was a very attractive man.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then you combine that with, well, he's unafraid to take physical action,
Yeah.
and he's got access to more money than anybody else. It's like that's a potent combination.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a weirdly heartbreaking kind of story, because here's this guy that ultimately gives up on his dream and divests himself of his ownership of that casino
Yeah.
to try and save Annette Bening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because she's stolen a bunch of money in the construction of this, because he foolishly put her in charge of accounting.
Yeah.
And she, pilfered funds from the mob, which always a smart move.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Then after Bugsy gets off, she gives back the money, going, "Oh, well, if they're willing to do that, they're definitely willing to kill me." Like, yeah, no doubt. But yeah, it's a good story, and I think the casting between Beatty and Benning, they've been together ever since this movie.
Yeah, I think so. I think they are still together. Yeah. Yeah.
and that comes across on screen. They have really good chemistry.
Yeah, I know. It's potent, their chemistry, man. Really is, yeah. But again, I want to give another shout out to Kingsley because I think he's a fantastic Meyer Lansky. Like, I don't think I've seen a better one. You know. All right. So what's your 4?
My number 4 is Ocean's 11.
Okay, go ahead, man.
Not on your list.
I had to choose between the 2,
Oh,
and I chose one, the other one.
we just want to save it for the
Oh,
overall
sure.
Ocean's discussion.
Okay, sounds good. We can do that. All right.
So
So
we know
my
your
4.
4. So my
Yep.
3 then is Behind the Candelabra.
Really? All
It got a
right.
release.
Go.
It got a release. I
Go
looked that
ahead.
up.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I trust me. I was surprised looking at the list of movies here.
Yeah.
I am a fan. I think it's Michael Douglas's commitment to try and bring Liberace to life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who Liberace like only existed as a caricature by the time I knew who he was.
Right.
And he didn't really pop up on many things that I was seeing as a kid, but I damn sure knew the name, which is kind of impressive.
Yeah.
Because I didn't care for like the classical music that he was playing as a kid, and
Right. Wasn't
I
your
couldn't
jam.
go to the Vegas show, and I didn't see him when he was on television doing his specials in the 50s and 60s. Like none of that existed for me, but I still knew who the guy was. Now, some of it was like cartoons and stuff lampooning him,
Oh,
like
sure.
creating a Liberace-esque character.
Right.
But to see Douglas 100% committing, I was so impressed. Not to say that he hasn't committed every other time.
No, but yeah.
This is a difficult role. Liberace
Yes.
is a very specific, individual. Between him and Matt Damon, they have a good push and pull and a dynamic as this relationship blossoms out of. And, you can see how Liberace's former partner, his accompaniment on stage, is jealous as Liberace brings in another young boy to fawn over him and vice versa for the young boy to fawn over Liberace, which is Matt Damon. He comes in, he works as an animal wrangler on movie sets and stuff. And Liberace has a poodle that needs eye drops. So Damon gets him eye drops and he's like, "Oh, you got to fly in and give him the eye drops." He's like, "What?" Just as an excuse to get him over there because he thought he was attractive. He's got money and who cares?
Yeah.
And whether or not, because it comes from the perspective of Matt Damon's character, it's based on the book that he wrote.
Yeah.
So ultimately, like, it's made to be that was Liberace's one true love, and all the others were just trysts and flings and things. He may have been with that person for a year, but Scott, you were the love of my life. We were together for like 4 or 5 years or something like that.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Once again, it's from his perspective. But the casting, you got Scott Bakula is the one that introduces him. Dan Aykroyd plays his manager.
Right.
I think Tom Papa is another like kind of intermediary. Trying to think who else is in it. I don't think there's anybody else of note. Oh, the young kid that comes in is the new squeeze.
Oh yeah.
That forces Scott out. Is that Garrett Hedlund? Is it?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm looking right now. I don't see his name just yet. But you might be. Rob Lowe's in it.
Oh yeah, he's the plastic surgeon. His face is
that's right. His face is so weird in that movie.
Welded on. It makes no movement whatsoever.
I see Cheyenne Jackson. Is that who that is? The guy who had a
blonde-haired kid.
No, I don't see.
Garrett Hedlund. Billy Leatherwood is the guy that Matt Damon replaces.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah,
I don't see
my top cast list, and it's deeper down.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, David Koechner. I forgot about Koechner being in this. Boyd Holbrook.
Oh, it's Boyd Holbrook. Oh,
yeah.
Wow, the guy who plays the Corinthian in the Sandman series. Yeah, he was in Logan. He's in
Logan. He's
So this is Soderbergh. So that's fair.
This is Soderbergh.
Yeah. It's a good movie. I remember liking it And like you, I saw it. I was surprised how much I enjoyed it, and especially that scene at the end when he has AIDS and Scott goes to visit him, and that kind of
Yeah.
final scene between them is pretty heartbreaking. So, but like you said, is based on the book that Scott wrote. So, how much of
Yeah.
this?
It's all from Scott's perspective.
Yeah. So,
So who knows?
yeah.
But he does show himself getting addicted to all kinds of different drugs and whatnot. So there's some honesty there.
Yeah, and I also think there's no caricature here from Douglas. Like he really dials into playing Liberace. You sense
Yeah.
the energy and the essence of this person coming through in his performance, and I think that's what you have to do when you don't 100% like look like him, or that you're not homosexual like he was. So you have to kind of dial into that and make it believable. And I think he does a great job. And I don't think he couldn't do it now. Obviously, with people saying, "Oh, you got to be gay. You've got to be gay if you're playing gay." You got to be Jewish if you're playing Jewish. We're seeing all that coming down. So he probably couldn't get away with it now, but he does a fantastic job in the movie. Him and Damon too. Damon is great in the film.
Yeah, but I think Damon is the star
Yeah,
technically of the movie. He is
yeah,
the camera follows him.
yeah. His
Um,
desperation.
but Douglas is the standout. But that was always going to be the case.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm looking at the pictures now, and just some of the shots, and then we forget how well it's shot. How well he shot that film.
Yeah.
Soderbergh. Okay, so that was your 3. Is that right?
That was my 3.
Okay, so my 3 is a punt from earlier, The Hangover.
Okay.
Yeah, I love this movie. Jesus Christ, this movie still cracks me up. Still works. I still watch scenes from this movie in the face. All of it is. I still remember Zach Galifianakis as he was blowing up on the scene. Like I go back to watch this movie because of that. Did it all work out? You could argue middling returns afterwards, but he's great in this movie. Just absolutely an unsettlingly weird dude that works within the humor of the film, who
Mhm.
never his performance never removes the pathos of this character, and I think that works so well in such an unusual comedy. Ed Helms is great in here, and I'm not always the biggest Ed Helms guy. Heather Graham coming back after a while, being cool, being good in the film. And Bradley Cooper. This is the beginning of Bradley Cooper being taken somewhat seriously as an actor. He's so good in the film, and their
Yeah.
chemistry and the fucking insane shit they go in. Ken Jeong jumping out of the trunk, all the kind of stuff that they go through and the adventures they go through in the film. All of it still works for me, and still was it. What's his face that did? Wasn't it Todd Phillips who directed The
Yep.
Hangover? Yeah,
Todd
so
Phillips did the
just
Hangover.
great stuff, man. All around, great. Very humor still holds up. Great performances and damn good direction throughout the whole movie. The other ones, but the first one is great.
Yeah, the Galifianakis jerking off the baby. That slayed me in the theater. Slayed. I was crying, laughing. And I love the backstory of how they got that done. I know I've told the story one other time, but
You tell it all the time on the show. You tell it all
all the time. All the time.
favorite story.
So someone tweeted about me as a Sean Monk, I think it was.
Okay, what did he
He's
say?
like, Matt, you got to make your choice. Your all-time favorites, PCU versus was it St. Vincent, I think, or something? Because that was the most recent. But I was just like, it's good. It's like I can't choose. Both my all-time favorites, especially PCU. But it's twins like they do for anything.
Yeah.
For kids, it's either twins or triplets or something.
Yeah.
And they have the 2 parents on set with them at all times. And they waited till the mom left set, and it was just the dad. Mom had the other kid, and it was just the dad with the one kid that's on set. And they talked to the dad, and they're like, "You give a shit if we do this?" And he's basically like, "You just need to get it done before she gets back."
I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah. And they shot it. I think that is the funniest thing in that movie.
Dudes, man.
It still gets me.
We're the worst.
Hey, look, just the juvenile nature of it, because that's what I would do with my friends. Not saying it's a baby, but I would make a joke that juvenile. So I was like, that's you got me. The more over the top like zaniness. Now, it's good for a movie.
Oh yeah.
But the baby thing is like, God, that is fucking real to me. Yeah, that slays me. And it's a fun movie.
Oh
It
yeah,
does. It announces. It takes Bradley Cooper from a guy that you saw like the villain in Wedding
yeah,
Crashers,
yeah, yeah,
which he's kind of forgettable, even though
right.
he is the main antagonist,
Yeah, yeah,
and all these other smaller parts, and elevate him to next level. This is an A-lister.
yeah.
And he took the reins of that and just ran. And now he's going to be a part of our lives for another probably decade minimum.
I mean, it's kind of crazy how he's blown up to the point where he is doing all the things that he's doing now, man. As a director, as a producer, he's gonna be Bernstein. He's gonna be Leonard fucking
Yeah.
Bernstein. Like in your
Choosing.
mind, did you consider that possibility when he was in fucking Wedding Crash? It's
Yeah.
insane.
Choosing Bernstein too is a flex.
Yeah.
Of all the characters to do a movie on, Leonard Bernstein, who there was a cool exhibit at the Skirball Museum up
Oh,
off,
okay.
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
Near the Getty.
Scoville Cultural Museum. Yeah, yeah, I know
Yeah.
what that is. Yeah.
Um, and they had a Bernstein exhibit and with a bunch of his like the actual compositions behind glass and
Oh, wow.
here's the this for this and here's the it was interesting to
Okay.
get like it went along his life, the path of his life and
Right.
discuss what he did. Super interesting, but never in a million years did I walk out of that going, we need a biopic of Leonard Bernstein. Although I don't think it's a distinct biopic. It's like a hybridized something else.
Yeah.
I heard a description of it and I was like, well, this isn't coming out for a while, so I
Yeah.
don't necessarily need to know everything about this just yet.
But still, it's fucking hell of a flex, as you
Yeah,
said.
it's a flex. Straight up. The ball's on you and a production company and a studio to
Yeah.
go, okay,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah. Let's do it. Why not?
you've done well enough in the past. You finally turned A Star is Born into a legitimate hit.
Yeah.
It's been on the precipice. We've remade this thing a lot of fucking times.
Yeah. That's a fair point. Yeah, for sure. It's a good film. I mean, and he's great in it. So yeah. All right. So what's your two, man?
My two is Rango, which we discussed.
Okay, yes, okay. So then my two is Ocean's 13.
Okay.
So I just prefer, like you prefer Last Crusade over Raiders. I just prefer 13 over 11. I think 11 is great. Everyone coming together. It's first time you're seeing these characters, all fun. But 13, man, they are a fucking machine, dog. It is so good. They are humming along. The way they weave in all the storylines from the previous two Ocean's movies to make them work. Even the Vincent Cassell stuff from 12, which was the less said about 12, the better. But weaving in the Andy Garcia part of it all works so well. Getting rid of Zeta Jones and Julie Roberts because there's no need for them to be a part of it. It's just the boys, and having this be about the love they have for the Elliot Gould character and what happened to him and how Pacino, and then Pacino is just, yeah, if you start out with Garcia, you end up with Pacino. It's you're going up the levels. So having Pacino as a villain in the movie, which he rarely plays, works so well, and the con is so well done that you just buy into all of it. And every single one of them who has come farther along in their career by the time they get to this one, they each get their little moments to shine, and I think it's great from top to bottom. And it's the one and the ending when playing that Sinatra song, "This Town," as they're looking at the water fountain, and then Elliot Gould giving the cigar to Don Cheadle, saying the letter saved my life. All of it works so well, and then the final scene in the airport between the three of them, and then David Paymer getting his payout. Just all of it works so well. So that's why I like it more than Ocean's 11. I think it's a better script and just a more professional film than the first one, if I can say that.
I mean, sure. Why not?
I'm trying to find the right word beyond professional, but it just feels like it's just I don't know, a tighter film. That's it. A tighter film than the first one. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
See, I think the bar was set weirdly high on the first one for me because I'm all in favor of if we're going to remake a film, let's remake a bad one.
Yeah, right. Because Ocean's 11, the
Yeah.
original, is not a good movie, and I'm a Sinatra fan. It is not a good movie. Yeah,
But that being said, it's like, dude, are you guys trying to say you're the Rat Pack? Like that's where the bar gets elevated. And I'm not saying the movie is good, but it's just
right.
like part of the sell of this is the fact that they're a cultural phenomenon.
Yeah, yeah.
and they're just having fun making movies together.
Right.
So to try and kind of compare yourselves to that, even if you're not trying to directly do a point, an A to B
Yeah.
type of situation,
Right.
you're still going to get the comparisons because you're remaking the quintessential Rat Pack film.
Yes.
And to actually get all these guys with seemingly what on the outside you would not be surprised if they had like huge egos because they're just massive stars,
Yeah.
and they all agree, nope, we're gonna show up, we're gonna have a good time, and that translates onto film. They look like they're having so much fun. You want to be there with them, being buddying
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So everything that comes after that is 11 sets the stage for. I don't mind 12. It's not great or
12
anything.
is
It's not.
terrible.
It's
Yeah.
not. It's terrible. Seems strong.
It's bad, dude. I mean,
Okay. Well,
they have
I'm not gonna fight
Julia
you on it because
Roberts play herself. That just seems weird. So
um. Would you rather have had more Bruno? You wanted more Bruno, didn't you? They should have given him a harmonica, and you would have been like, "Dude,
you know,
you're pulling at my hawk strings,"
he
and
he
just
shows up. He's better suited showing up in Expendables than he is showing up in fucking Ocean's 11 or Ocean's 12, right? So yeah,
I
that
was
weird moment.
shocked he was in Ocean's 12.
Yeah, I know. I was like,
Never
what
in a
is
million
going
years did I think he was friends with these people.
Yeah.
Julia, yes. The
Oh,
rest of
sure.
them,
Sure.
no.
Mhm.
Um,
I agree.
but yeah, and then the casting too. Like, of course, the Clooney's, Pitts, Damon's, Cheadle's, but it's the Goulds
Yeah.
and Khan. For Christ's sake, Scott Khan and Casey Affleck before he got his push. But those are the three where they nailed it,
Yeah.
and I never would have picked, especially Khan and Affleck.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
And I'm
Of
gonna say it a
all the
third time.
people.
Khan is the one that blows my mind because Hawaii 5-0 seems about what I think
Yeah.
Scott Khan should be doing.
Scott Conn is about that level. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
100% right.
But to see him fit into this ensemble magnificently,
Yeah.
I think it's a testament to all involved, from
Yeah.
director on through, where they made a level playing field. And yeah, I don't know. But 13 is great too.
Yeah. 13 is great. All right. What's your number one?
My one is Casino.
That's my one too. Yeah, absolutely. Has grown so much on me over time.
Mm-hmm.
It's on Peacock. I watched it, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago. Like stayed up till 1 a.m. watching it on Peacock. From beginning, because I hadn't seen it in a while. I was like, fuck it. I'll just watch an hour. And next thing you know, I'm up till 1 a.m. finishing it off. It is such a great performance from Pesci. I prefer him in this movie, I think, more than
You
Goodfellas.
stop right there.
I'm just telling you, I prefer him more in this movie than in Goodfellas. But I prefer De Niro in Goodfellas than him in this movie. That being said, he's great in the film. He's an interesting protagonist because he's got a lot of fucking flaws. And you're on his side, but you also are like, dude, you're really unself-aware of how much you need to be in the spotlight. So when Pesci calls him out about it, you're almost confused because they're both calling each other out and they're both right. So you're just like, where the fuck do I land in this movie, right? But it's so interesting to watch it, and the voiceover is so well done by De Niro throughout. Sharon Stone, although I wish you could cut her out of the movie, she serves the purpose that she serves. Rickles is great in the film, and the weird stuff that goes on throughout that whole movie just gives you an idea what Vegas was like at that time. Before, as they said in the movie, all the moms started showing up and dads showing up on vacation. There was a time where there was this real undercurrent of danger throughout that city that was an element of everything that went on in that city. So you understood why it was the way it was and how a gang could take control of the place, a gangster.
In like 94 or 5 or something, my buddy John, his family took a family vacation to Vegas.
Oh,
and all of us are like, the whole family is going to Vegas?
You sure?
But my parents were the ones that were that's where I kind of
Yeah.
took my cue from. My parents are like, the whole family's going to Vegas? And then he got back and he was like, dude, there's pools and there's this and there was, they were trying to make it family friendly
Right.
to get more people in there. But yeah, um, Vegas was a lot of what the portrayal of Casino is.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with your original statement of this movie has gotten better in time.
Yeah.
I thought it was just okay when it first came out.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too, man.
And then a few years later saw it again. I was like, it's a Scorsese. I'm kind of in a mob mood. Like it was on something. So I watched it and I was like, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then just seeing it over, which is weird because a lot of the other Scorseses, they hit me. I like them from jump,
Mm-hmm.
but this and Wolf of Wall Street, both,
Mm-hmm.
it took time and eventually crept up and up and up on the list of how much I enjoy the film.
I'm overdue for a Wolf rewatch. Yeah. I agree with you.
I watched the scene where he's trying to get all his, he's just starting was it Stratford Oakmont? Stratton Oakford?
Yeah.
What is the name of the bullshit company that he creates that sells
Yeah.
the penny stocks for huge markups?
Yeah.
But when he's getting his friends and they're sitting around that table and he's like, sell me this pen. And then just like whatever, supply and demand. And the John Barenthal. But all of that, I watched that whole sequence when they get the garage and then the build up.
Yeah.
Then eventually it boils over into they have the full floor type of thing. But yeah, I'll go back for scenes in that one all the time.
The stuff with him and Jonah, I go back to and watch all the time.
Yeah, them smoking crack.
Yeah. And then also him, like, sell me. Wait, what? You make this much? Tell me this, and I'll go fucking
Yeah.
right now. That whole
Tell me,
scene
I'll quit my fucking job right now.
is great. And,
I love the
oh.
DiCaprio's like, hey, you know what? Can I ask you something? And Jonah Hill's like, yeah, with those huge teeth. Yeah, whatever you want.
What do you want?
Yeah. It's like, I heard this crazy thing around the building. You know what? It's probably nothing. And the whole like, oh, I heard you're married to your cousin. It's like, well, it's not like that. It's just the whole, my cousin grew up hot and my friends were trying to fuck her and I wasn't going to let my friends fuck her. It's just like, this got,
Oh, yeah.
It's so creepy.
Yeah.
And the fact that dude ended up becoming incredibly wealthy.
Yeah. Right.
It's
mind blowing.
Yeah. Points to where maybe the system fails sometimes.
And then, yeah. But where you wish you had figured out that system so you could have been in the same boat for sure.
Yeah. But like in Casino, I just watched like maybe 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. But the scene where Pesci wants his money back from the banker.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't know something about me. Maybe you should understand. Because if I show up on Monday morning and you don't have my money, I'm going to crack your fucking skull.
Yeah. And the guy's like, what?
He can't talk to me like that.
Listen, you made an investment. I can't guarantee you. I don't give a fuck with that. You're giving me my money back. And De Niro's just standing there watching all of it.
Yeah.
Not really. Yeah. He's not betraying because you can't do that in that instance. And as soon as the guy walks out, he's like, what are you doing? You can't talk to him like that. Oh, I love that pivot because you can't talk about family business in front of others.
Yeah.
It's.
Have you watched the outtakes or the deleted scenes?
I mean, I've seen some of them, but is there one in particular?
Yeah, the one with Rickles where he is calling out De Niro because De Niro messed up a line or something like that, where they're sitting at the bar in his house.
Yeah,
and he is Rickles just goes in on De Niro, just goes in on him, going like, Bobby, it's a fun, you sit around, you mumble around. I can barely understand half your dialogue as it is. So for God's sakes, you can't study the lines in between the times we're doing. I mean, I know you're doing those character work and he's a great actor, but for the love of God, it's a fucking line. And just the way he's like, and De Niro is trying not to break. And
he's just sitting there like doing the shoulder shake. I can't remember whose AFI salute to whatever award where they win.
Oh yeah,
where he stands up because he's done a few of them.
Oh yeah,
and I've watched them all.
Oh my God!
But he stands up. He always just sitting in the crowd. He's never on stage, and he stands up and he gives his roast from the crowd. But my favorite is, I think it's for Scorsese's that they're doing.
That's a good one.
And with De Niro, and he's like, I worked a lot with, Robert De Niro, one of the best actors in his generation. You ask him. You ask him.
He'll tell you. He'll tell you.
Yeah. You didn't even finish that sentence. Just fully implying this isn't me saying it. He's fucking told me this so many times that I'm sick of it. And we all know it. Like it's a known thing that this is all he talks about is how
Oh,
amazing he is. You
his
ask
roast
him.
is the best.
You
His
ask him.
roast.
Oh, so good.
Doesn't he lead by saying, Marty, because you've never made a good movie. You've never made a movie I enjoy. But then
Yeah.
by the end, he delivers these really sweet, heartfelt
Oh, it's
endings.
always, from the bottom of
It's
my heart.
so great.
My
So
wife and
great.
I cherish the time that,
Yeah.
we've spent together with you. And it's always sincere.
It's that's how you do a roast. That's how you do a roast. And you never get that in the fucking Comedy Central roasts. But Rickles knew because he's from the old school, like the
Well,
fucking
he
old comedy,
knows the
the Dean
people he's
Martin
talking
roasts.
about.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Exactly. Good point.
Yeah. Now, if you watched all the Dean Martins, I'm
Oh,
sure there's quite a few people he doesn't know. Still good at it.
those are
But
brutal, man. You can't get away with fucking 9/10 of that comedy
you can't.
nowadays. Oh my God.
Don Rickles wouldn't have a career.
You're
Flat
100%
out.
right.
Yeah.
100% right. Man.
Dude, I saw him, right before he passed.
Mm,
And it's one of it doesn't matter. Saw him right before it passed, and the whole act
yeah.
wasn't PC for the year that I saw it in, let alone now. And it's a multicultural audience that all
Oh, yeah.
knows this dude doesn't mean a word of it.
Right.
Plus, a lot of these jokes were written 40 years ago,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and he's still doing a lot of like
Yeah.
anti-Japanese stuff because he was in the war and that shit
Right.
killed for 20 years. So he just kept it in his act.
Yeah.
Uh,
You know what you're going in for, right?
yeah, 100%.
Everyone knew. And if you're going to a Don Rickles show and you don't know that he's going to make these off-color jokes and
About everything.
about every race, including himself,
Yeah.
you don't understand what the hell's going on.
And I've seen him do those jokes to the person's face.
Yeah, the Sinatra stuff on Carson, he goes after Sinatra all the time, right to his face. It's genius, man. Genius stuff. Yeah. They don't make him anymore. I'm sorry, man. I don't mean to be the fucking old guy in the room, but there's no comedians like that anymore, in my opinion. Anyway.
There are, but
okay.
they aren't allowed the platform that Rickles.
Yeah, Burr is like the closest. And even he's like the bridge in a way. You would know better than I, of course, since it's your profession. All right. Well, there we go. That's our top 10 films set in Las Vegas. Let's wrap this up and get the hell on out of here. Did we get a Chuck email back with his list?
I will pull it up. No, we did not.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll read it on a future show, as Matt said, Chuck. But Charles Clark, we appreciate you sending in this topic. We, for all our patrons, we appreciate them sending in this topic. Do we want to put this list together?
Yeah. So casinos obviously one.
Yep.
Do you want to say Ocean's 11/12 is 2?
Sure. 13, you mean?
Yeah. Sorry.
How dare you?
All right. So now Rango is 2, 7, 8. Okay. What do you have?
I have it at 8.
All right. Then Hangover is your 3.
Hangover is my 3. Yes.
So that's 3, 8.
Okay.
We both have Fright Night at 7. Fear and Loathing, Las Vegas is for 5. So I'd probably say Leaving Las Vegas, then Rango, then The Hangover.
Okay. Sounds good. Just rosining up the bow here. All right. Where does that put us at?
That's 1 through 5.
Oh, shit. All right. Casino, Ocean's 13, The Hangover, and Leave Las Vegas. So Bugsy is my 5. Did we put Bugsy in yet?
No, that's my 9, but we've got Fright Night both at our 7.
Okay.
Does 5-9 beat 7-7? Probably.
I think 5 elevates it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll go Bugsy, then Fright Night.
Okay.
And then that's it. That's all our commonality. So I have my number 3.
Okay, go ahead.
Behind the Candelabra. I have my 6.
So do I. What do you have with your 6?
Fear and Loathing. What's your 6?
All right. Swingers. You gonna flip?
Got the coin right here.
All right, man.
All right, here we go. Don't bounce across the room. Swingers it is.
Oh, nice. What does that put us at?
That is done. We are
Oh,
finished with the
boom.
list.
All right. Here we go. The top 10 films set in Vegas. Yeah. At number 10.
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
At number 9.
Swingers.
At number 8.
Behind the Candelabra.
At number 7.
Fright Night.
At number 6.
Bugsy.
At number 5.
The Hangover.
At number 4.
Rango.
At number 3.
Leaving Las Vegas.
At number 2.
Oceans 11/13.
And our number 1 film set in Las Vegas is
Casino.
How many blueberries you put in muffins? I want you to put the exact
Oh.
amount of blueberries in every muffin.
Yeah, that's beyond crazy. Having to the time it would take.
I love
to
the chef.
ensure.
Do you know how long that would take? I don't care how long it takes. Just fucking get it done. That's hilarious. All right. Well, there you go. That's our top 10 films set in Las Vegas. Thank you, everybody, for watching us or listening to us. We appreciate it madly. Remember, if you listen to us, you can always watch us on the Top 10 YouTube channel. Matt, what else do we have to tell them?
You can follow the show on Twitter at Top 10 Show, all spelled out. And on Instagram and YouTube, it's /the Top 10 Podcast with the number 10. And if you'd like to suggest a topic like Mr. Charles Clark, you can head to patreon.com/the Top 10 with the number 10. It is over there. And Charles, we will read your list on next week's show. So please let us know what your Vegas movies are, sir.
Come on, Charles.
And you can follow me anywhere at Matt Nost. Check out my other show called Settle the Score. You can find that anywhere you get podcasts. Otherwise, you can go to youtube.com/Matt Nost and check out Settle the Score over there. And that is it for me this week.
Nice. That's me. You can follow me at The Roca Says on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, The Outlaw Nation on Twitch, and my YouTube channel, youtube.com/John Roca Says, and my other podcast, The Cinephiles, The Geek Buddies, and The Hot Mic, which is blowing up right now. So thank you all so much for listening to us here on the Top 10, and we'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode down the road. Peace.